Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Paradoxic, and welcome back to Batwoman. This time we're on episode 4 of season 2. Last time we met we met both Victor Zaz and his employer, Sapphire Sohail. We met them both, and Victor was more involved with the Batwoman stuff, and Sapphire, understandably, was more involved with the Sophie and Alice side of things. She wanted to confront Sophie after she wanted to confront Alice. I mean, after Alice's betrayal, leaving the island and also taking a sample of the precious desert rose with her as well. So I mean, we've come to understand that the island itself is like similar to kind of like something like Wakanda from Marvel. Like the desert rose is its most precious and prized resource, and it's a very very valuable resource, being a cure-all for pretty much any disease in the world. Um, so by Alice taking it out and actually using it outside of the island too, in places like Gotham, where stuff like the black market can run free, yeah, she risks kind of exposing the island to the world and exposing Sapphire's culture to the world and everything. And Sapphire has worked hard, similar to Wakandans in Marvel, to actually keep her island and its secrets under wraps and to keep it from the grips of, those who would colonize and steal and do all sorts of terrible things. So that was an interesting sort of backstory for Sapphire and for her world and everything, and to kind of show us where Alice actually came from, especially because she found Alice and she took her in and she trained her up and built her up to be the kind of villain that she is now. So that was cool. But Sapphire also revealed a little bit of a secret, that she actually did that not only did she not directly take down Kate's plane and kill her, but that Kate is also alive. That she actually had I think like her necklace as proof of life that Kate was alive. So I mean, for me, I mean, I'm not gonna, like fall under that belief too easily, just because then on the one hand that would raise questions as to why we can't see Kate yet when we know that it's because Ruby Rose is no longer a part of the show. But I think it also raises the question of like is Sapphire actually telling that truth? Like for all we know, she could just have the necklace and could just be manipulating Alice into believing that Kate is still alive, and Sophie also, like Alice passed that message on to Sophie too. So now she's kind of gone to Commander Kane and told him that Kate could still be alive. So I think it's honestly just like a way of actually keeping Alice at arm's length while also actually keeping the trail off of her, because she believes that someone else has framed her. And we know that Victor was hired by Sapphire for multiple cases, and most notably for the cases last time too. So the rifle is not the only one from the last season working for Sapphire, but it's also Victor. And Victor he's pretty much like a professional hitman, and he also goes by the typical kind of comic book counterpart trait of tallying his victims all over his body and everything. So he was really interesting to see. He was really cool to see last episode, going up against Batwoman as well. And yeah, I think like the kind of general reaction is still kind of very very surprising, and people surprised to see that the new Batwoman is the new Batwoman, and stuff. But Victor being Victor, he would try and get under her skin and try and discredit her and try and tear her down and accuse her of being like a fake or like an imposter or something. So that's just Victor. But it was cool. It was cool to see him nonetheless. I think he was not killed but taken out, so to speak. So I think we'll definitely be seeing him at some point in the future, and I think it'll be cool to see him too. It'll be cool to see him. But we had them. We also had Ryan being employed by Mary at the holdup because she needed to prove that she actually had a job, and now she has to prove that she can actually find somewhere to live, to keep things under wraps and to keep her actual, day life on track and everything. So that was cool. And yeah, we actually had some kind of reconciliation between Ryan and Luke too. Luke kind of finally accepted that, Ryan, she might be here temporarily, but she still deserves to actually be treated as the actual Batwoman, which she is now. So he did decide to actually go easy on her, and even made her a new set of batarangs and reminded her that, unlike the video games, the batarangs in live action do have a supply. They do have a limit, so you can't just throw them all willy-nilly and actually expect everything to be okay. So it's cool. It's cool seeing her actually fit into this new role and seeing her fit into the suit. And she even made upgrades to the suit too. She upgraded the suit, got some new hair with frosted red tips. Like it was, I don't know if they were frosted, but they were definitely red tips, and it looks amazing. She looks absolutely amazing. So I can't wait to see her kicking even more ass in the new suit in these upcoming episodes. So yeah, I think going forward we'll be exploring more of Sapphire hopefully, and actually exploring more of the mystery behind Kate's death and seeing what's true and what isn't, and seeing Ryan making more enemies and presumably more friends too. So yeah, it should be fun. It should be a very very fun time. But that is pretty much all I have from the last one. I think going for, I think it's, I keep forgetting it, right? I keep forgetting each time I start a new episode, but I do remember that, you know, Ryan actually does have kryptonite poisoning, and so far it hasn't affected her too much, but she also hasn't actually brought it up to Ryan, to Luke or Mary either, and they are the two kind of people, you know, most well equipped to actually handle it, so I don't know if they intend on bringing that up anytime soon, or if they're just kind of waiting for the right time, but that is still a thing. She does still have kryptonite poisoning from when Tommy shot her, so that hopefully comes back soon, but we'll see. But yeah, on to this episode. If you guys want to catch the full-length reaction, because this will just be the highlights, if you want to catch the full unedited reaction to this episode, that reaction will be over on my Patreon, so you can catch that one over there. That will be just as much fun. But yeah, on to Batwoman, Season 2, Episode 4. Let's go.
Who is your dealer?
Guy with a Purge mask. Yeah, reminds me of the mask from the Purge. Yeah, get the Batmobile out. Yeah.
You tell him. I will find the head of the snake, and I will cut it off.
Oh, such a good line. Such a good line. Hopefully it's not a Hydra. You know, cut off one head, two more take its place. Hopefully it's just an actual snake. You cut it, and you're done with it. Yeah.
And the person who told Sophie the Kate's alive is named Alice.
Yeah.
And Alice heard it from some mystery woman named Sophia, who just hired a hitman to try and kill me.
Yeah.
So we are playing a game of telephone with a bunch of homicidal women.
Or
Yeah.
Alice is telling the truth.
Ghost Kid? He ain't a superhero. Says who? All he can do is be invisible. Made people
The Invisible Woman. Fantastic Four.
Who? You keep opening that window for me, and I've got your back when you need someone.
Ah, first day in the new home and she's already making a friend. Yeah. Is that her? The Green Lantern Corps! They have DC Comics in the DC Universe! The boy who isn't there, the Ghost Kid. They have DC Comics in the DC Universe. DC Looney Tunes is DC. WB, sure, but DC?
I'm known as the neighborhood candy lady.
Oh no.
Jelly bean?
Oh no. No, what are...
So,
Candy from strangers is never good. That's like lesson 1 of going out on your own as a kid. And half a muffin. Alice, of course. Who else would eat half a muffin?
You do have double locks on all your doors. No fashionable attire. I looked, and not a single thing past.
Suits can be fashionable. She wears suits other than her work suit, presumably.
there are 60 jelly beans in this jar. And every day that you're here, I'll remove one. And by the time there are no more jelly beans left, you'll realize I am the only one who's here for you. Me.
Way to desecrate candy. Jesus. Like, bad enough that they use them to lure kids, but now
Doing this.
that is really terrifying methodology.
One who all those comic books that you love so much. Have you ever read about one of those heroes saving a kid like you?
The sad truth.
That's a horrifying message to send a kid too. Jesus.
Heroes didn't save kids like me.
Yeah, surely the adults at that group home should notice one of the kids is missing. I feel stupid saying that, but still. Because that's the whole point, like, oh, no one notices these kinds of kids are missing.
She had Don't you make a sound.
Oh, someone's here. Someone's here. Yeah, someone's here. Someone showed up and she can't have them actually. Yeah. She can't be losing Ryan when she's this close. This evil bitch. Ugh. Just bang your forehead on the window.
Fair skin, blue eyes, fair skin, blue eyes.
Fair skin, blue. Oh, it's not even her.
Necklace with a red stone.
Oh, it's Beth. It's Beth. The necklace, the blue eyes. Oh no, for Beth. Oh jeez, that is. That is heart-wrenching.
Including logs of who
You need to
where.
tell someone about that, Ryan.
Have to find them.
Can't just let the green get to the red.
You don't have to sell my ass on moving out of my van. Yes.
Yeah,
I'd love to live here.
Hey.
great. So from cave mates to roommates. Yeah.
Kate collected all of this as a kid.
Oh, it's her. It is the girl. The girl from the group home.
That's what she thinks. Told you I got your back.
She's her ex. Okay,
herself to get caught to help break me out.
more than just a friend then.
That was the
Okay.
first time. See? Took a turn.
Sorry, you have the wrong
Let's
number.
change your number.
Wait.
And who might you be?
Your worst nightmare. Also that, yeah. Oh no! Oh, the spray again. He sprayed her face again. Oh, and now she's got helpers too. She's got 2 mini helpers.
Do you have anything with actual calories in here?
There's rat poison under the sink.
Oh,
I appreciate that the crew
really?
has passed
In
close
2021, you want to be
That's
doing that?
decent
Really,
things.
Alice?
Wait, what is...
Got an address, don't tell Alice. Oh, he's... okay. Oh, no jelly beans. Oh, that's a terrifying sight. Oh, jelly babies to the head. There we go. That worked.
You read Ghost Kid?
Oh, yeah, she did. Yeah, for you. Yeah. Come on, Ryan. You're stronger now. You're smarter now. Come on. You do. You can do this. You got this.
Okay. Come. Right there.
Okay. Okay, there we go. There we go. There we go. Oh. Tumble down the stairs.
You don't remember me, huh, bitch?
Damn.
Girl you couldn't break. No one ever really knew his face. And now that it's hidden behind a mask...
Oh, he's with the False Face Society. He's with the False Face Society.
Because only catering and emergency vehicles are allowed that far out.
Oh, crap. Oh, this must be Kevin.
Damn, Kevin.
Kevin, shit.
Do I know you?
Oh, I guess you're about to.
I just came here looking to bag the place. And clearly, it's not worth it. So, you two can have it.
Okay, so Ocean isn't here?
To make things right, to apologize, to promise you'll change your ways.
I think we both know the answer to that question.
No, no, and no.
I'm gonna find my sister,
Kill her.
and I'm gonna kill her.
Oof. Heels to the face. Not comfortable.
Don't come down to False Face Society's hood solo.
He didn't come solo. Oh, the new Batwoman's here. Yeah. This is a nice introduction, being saved by Batwoman, yeah. Oh, nice. Oh. Oh, that is a good one. That is a good move.
Sweat out my edges. Listen to me. You do this.
No, you know, Jacob,
throw
Jacob,
your
don't.
entire life away.
Jacob, don't.
Anything about me, Kevin. Wait.
Just give her the chance. Just give
I
Ryan
do
the
that.
chance.
How do you know so much about me? Because I set out to find you. Because you matter.
Okay. Okay. He's okay. He's okay. Whoa.
Ocean.
This is Ocean. He was a fighter on the island. Called a memory.
Wrong number. Seriously.
You didn't take my calls for...
This is Angelique.
I had to play hard to get for a minute.
This is Angelique.
Batwoman caught the candy lady.
Damn.
Yeah. Because maybe I missed the girl who always had my back.
Oh, damn. The truce.
In you, I found
It's a hell of a pinky swear. Yeah. God damn. God damn. Yep, like I said last time, tradition. It's gotta happen. The head bopping has got to happen. It's gotta happen. Yeah, that was a hell of an episode. That was a great episode. Really, really well written, really well executed. Like a deep, darker history to Ryan herself. And yeah, just I think I don't remember ever having something like this for Kate. I don't remember it. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I don't remember ever having like a past connection episode like this for Kate. But for Ryan, I think it just kind of, I think the kind of the execution of like her PTSD and her kind of memories coming in and out, and her like actually having to revisit her past in like this kind of superheroic way was really, really well done. So we actually see one of the group homes that she actually went to, where not everyone was really social. The others were just kind of kept to themselves, or like just kind of tore you down, and stuff. Like for her, like her introduction being like just kind of almost like showcasing herself to the other kids in the group home, being like her taking this too seriously, or her like talking too much and stuff. But then the one girl, the one kid, Angelique, that was her ex. Even started off, her actually letting her in by opening the window, and when no one else would, like them actually starting that bond, and her reading all those comics and everything. So we finally meet Angelique. We meet Angelique both as a kid back then, and also in the modern day. And in the modern day, she was actually trying to raid Ocean's apartment and stuff. And now she's possibly back in the game, But now we actually meet Angelique and see where her and Ryan's relationship actually started, with them actually having each other's backs and sticking out for each other. So that was cool. But yeah, I think that whole concept too, like Ryan actually going so far as to actually point that out, that like if a white kid goes missing, and I think that scene too, when the volunteers came round, like like the optimism you naturally get from that scene, where you get like, oh, volunteers are here, they're actually asking about a missing child, and you naturally you think, oh, finally they actually noticed that Ryan went missing. They actually sent out word. They actually put out like an APB or something, and they actually got people out there actually searching for her. But then they actually start describing the kid, and it's like fair skin, blue eyes, like a redstone necklace. So I think fair skin, blue eyes, that kind of took me by surprise. But I didn't like. It took me a while. It took a while for that to actually sink in. Like fair skin, blue eyes. Like, hey, Ryan doesn't have either of those. And like and then the redstone necklace thing came in, and I was like, okay, she definitely didn't have that. But then that sounds familiar. That particular piece of jewelry actually sounds familiar. You know, so. But yeah, no. So like the redstone necklace thing, that was exclusive to Beth and Kate, and we know for sure, for damn sure, Kate did not go missing as a child. So that particular APB, that particular notice out on a missing child, was for Beth Kane, and that's when it actually hits. And yeah, and I think I was wondering if they were going to address that too, like it was when Beth Kane went missing that volunteers actually came around, but when Ryan went missing from a group, like when I think that also kind of the way they actually kind of like kind of raised awareness about the kind of attention given to kids in foster homes or kids in group homes compared to kids who already have families too. It's like it's very, very noticeable, and I think it's a very kind of like much more in depth way of actually pointing out to, like, if a kid who already has a family goes missing, they're given much more attention, much more care than a kid who doesn't. Like if a kid who doesn't have like anything to call family goes missing, it's like like they are 9 times out of 10 branded as some kind of runaway and left to fend for themselves on the streets. And especially Beth actually being like a white girl with a family too, like as soon as she goes missing, like it's all hands on deck. And we saw the full severity of that for a time in season 1, but with this one, this callback now actually makes it all the more hard hitting too. Like Ryan trying as hard as she could to actually make some noise and actually bang on the window and stuff, but then she actually hears a description. It's like, that doesn't match me. And it's like, and then it actually hits him that no one's even looking for her. So yeah, and I think again, like with the whole Beth Kane thing too, I was wondering if that was actually going to get brought up. Like, oh, everyone was looking for Beth Kane, but no one, not a single soul was looking for me. But then the tables turn. The tables turn when her best buddy, when her girlfriend from like kind of just best buddy sounds wrong, but when her girlfriend actually from the group home actually gets captured on purpose, when she gets captured deliberately to try and find her, she actually starts to feel some hope again. And also like Angelique going that far too. Like she actually knew she actually caught onto the pattern of that woman being spotted in that particular area, preying on kids, particularly on foster kids. She actually sought out that pattern and then got caught deliberately, and then presumed that it's still within like a fair enough distance away from the actual group home, so it must be there. So then she actually gets caught, and then she gives Ryan the pep talk, and then they both escape from there. So that was a really, really cool backstory. That was really cool. But yeah, the old lady, that whole kind of method the old lady had for breaking down hope was terrifying too. She had like a few different lines here and there, but her main method being the jelly beans. The desecration of candy. The desecration of candy. I don't know if I'm ever actually going to be able to look at jelly beans in the same way again, or eat them in the same way again. I haven't had them in a while, but I think now I'm just going to kind of steer clear of them and stick to something healthier and less mentally scarring. But yeah, that whole method she had of 60 jelly beans in a jar. She said 60 jelly beans in a jar. She gives pretty much society 60 days to respond to Ryan, or pretty much any kid she abducts for them to go missing. In one jelly bean a day. And I didn't want to say anything in the moment in case it ruined the kind of pacing, or in case it ruined the tension. But I was thinking is she she's already messed up enough to do this, but is she that much more twisted to maybe sneak out 2 or 3 extra jelly beans in a day to actually trick the kid into thinking that more days have gone by? Because there's no clock in there, you don't know what time it is. You just have a window out there, and you just watch people go by, and it's a dark, it's like a dark old loft pretty much, and you're all alone, and there's nothing there to tell you, how much time has gone by except for the jelly beans. So there's no telling, how much time has actually gone by. So I was wondering, is she twisted and sick enough to actually sneak out extra ones to actually take away even more hope? Because she tries one at first, she actually takes her the accurate amount of time, but then the whole thing is actually tearing down the kids' hope and making them feel hopeless, and then eventually they actually succumb to the fact that no one's coming, and then the old lady hands the kids off, presumably I think to the False Face Society. I don't know if there are other gangs that she worked with too, but mainly to the False Face Society. But no, she seemed twisted enough to actually maintain the accurate kind of duration of that whole kind of torture method, and took one jelly bean a day, and then eventually she still attacked. Eventually, even with a good few jelly beans left, she actually still attacked and tried to actually draw her out and everything. So yeah, that old lady, the candy lady too, the candy lady. As if candy wasn't bad enough when kidnappers were using that to lure kids into windowless vans anyway, and now apparently this lady used them to tear down kids' hopes and stuff. And I figured, the candy thing is pretty much kind of textbook. If a stranger offers you candy, or shows you candy inside a van or a car or something, don't trust them, just walk away. It's being out on your own as a kid 101. Don't trust strangers in any fashion. But then the comic books come in and stuff, and then Ryan's even more tempted, and yeah, it's horrifying stuff. It's very, very horrifying stuff, and I think the way they tackled it in this episode was beyond amazing. Beyond if it terrifies you, if it scars you, and if it actually makes you scared, then they do a pretty accurate job of showcasing exactly what that situation is actually going to be like for many kids out there. So yeah, and again, just that whole thing of actually showing that foster kids and runaways are the most common targets of this, because they have no one, they have no connections, no one's looking for them, no one's worrying about them, so then they're much easier targets to actually manipulate in that way. So it's horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying. And I think even that added trauma too, the lady the lady knowing that Ryan loved comics as own heroes in comic books and everything, and then even going the extra mile to be heroes don't save kids like you. You're a foster kid. Foster kids have no family, no friends, no connections. They don't matter. So heroes are never drawn or seen in comic books or stories saving kids like you. And what that does to a kid too, because again, kids are undeniably one of the largest demographics of comic book and superhero fandom, pretty much. Kids actually look up to these heroes and hope that if they're ever in trouble, they can rely on a superhero of some kind to save them, and they read stories about superheroes saving people. So to tell that to a kid too, I think is especially damaging. Especially her actually just going that far in as well, like being like, oh, these heroes that like in Ryan's case it was the invisible boy and stuff. But just like that lady going that much further in to like to actually try and like make her think that because of who she is, because of what she looks like, and because of like like where she comes from, she doesn't matter, and the superhero will never care about her, let alone prioritize her list of missions. It's just, I think that line especially kind of hit harder because I think the jelly bean thing is like like her general method. It's how she generally tears kids down. Like, oh, I'll give you a set number of days, and if you're not rescued by then I'll do with you as I please. But then actually driving harder into Ryan's psyche and into her kind of strength and finding something that she likes and enjoys and using that against her, I think is especially traumatizing, and it's pretty much one of the signs of an abuser. So just really well written stuff, I'd say. Really well written stuff, and it does the job it's supposed to. So top notch writing all around. And yeah, one thing that caught me by surprise, they have DC Comics in the DC universe. That was intriguing to me, and especially I think they had like a DC Comics watermark over Looney Tunes, which that shook me. I think to my knowledge, like Looney Tunes is like a WB production, but it's not. It's not a DC production. I could be wrong about that, but to my knowledge, it's not specifically. I don't know if that's just like a funny thing they did for the episode, or if that actually is accurate to real life. If Looney Tunes has some connection to DC. Don't know if they've done crossovers in the cartoons, maybe like Batman meeting Bugs Bunny or something, but I don't know. Either way, they had that. But then there was a Green Lantern cool comic that actually caught my eye, and that kind of made sense to me. But then I thought, oh wow, there's Green Lantern comics in the. I mean, I think in Black Lightning, there's definitely Supergirl comics, like before the crossover happened. Like I think it was in like the first season that they actually mentioned that there were Supergirl comics. That we actually saw a Supergirl comic book in Black Lightning, and then even in the crossover, like Black Lightning kind of referenced like the two Supermen standing in front of me, like, oh, the two Supermen, that's like a total real thing then. So yes, I think comics kind of make sense, and I think Cisco mentioned in one of the earlier seasons that he actually got the inspiration for the flash signal, the flashlight, the flash signal from like a comic book somewhere, so that kind of signified that he read like a Batman comic or something. So I think DC comics in the DC universe. I think way back when, like years ago, I remember hearing a reference that there were Marvel comics in the DC universe, and that there were actually Captain America, Avengers like Marvel superhero comics in the DC universe, so they were aware of those characters that way. Didn't hear a vice versa for Marvel, but I think superhero comics, I think that's like something that blows my mind too. Like in canon, in original hand-drawn, handwritten canon, there are these kinds of fourth wall breaks. Like these days, fourth wall breaks in movies, you almost expect them, you almost kind of anticipate them, because now crossovers are so much more talked about, and like producing a live action kind of comic book thing is like all the more accessible and all the more easy to do. But then if you actually go back and look into the original canon material and find all these different fourth wall references and wall breaks and everything, like it's like, wow, they actually did this way back then, like way back when you wouldn't even anticipate a crossover or anticipate like Easter eggs, then like they actually still did this. So Green Lantern comics in the DC universe in Earth Prime, because this is still set on Earth Prime. So yeah, that was cool. But yeah, comic books, Ryan was definitely easily into them. And she had her favorites and stuff, so that was cool. Comic books in Batwoman. So yeah, I think now it would. I think we haven't seen any Batwoman comics. I don't even know if we've actually seen any Batwoman merch. Like the closest we've seen to referencing like Batwoman or like to actual support for Batwoman is those boards they had like a couple of episodes ago. They actually had like the bat symbol on a board and stuff like that. But we haven't actually seen any Batwoman merch. Like we haven't seen anyone wearing like a t-shirt with the Batwoman logo, or like like a Batwoman cap, or anyone wearing, or anyone dressing up as Batwoman for Halloween. Like we haven't seen any of that. So I think like a merch and like comic books in this would actually be cool to see. And then and now the city has had two different incarnations of Batwoman. Now it's like it feels all the more like a plausible cause for that kind of thing. So I don't know, but it was cool. Comic books in the DC universe, it's cool. And yeah, Kevin Johnson, the kid that originally went missing was found at the end. So he had indeed been handed off to the False Face Society, and they kind of lured him in with the aspect of family and loyalty and everything. So that was not so fun, and he was on the verge of almost killing. I mean, again, I think he was a kid, so he was just kind of seen as easily malleable for the False Face Society. And yeah, the False Face Society, I was trying to, I didn't really have much their name down like a third time in my notes, so I had to kind of abbreviate it down to it, and then I have written like, False Face Society, so 2 F's and an S, so it abbreviates to FFS. So that kind of made me laugh. Like, it just kind of makes you think about how you'd actually react when you actually see them, like, oh, for fuck's sake, it's the False Face Society again. So yeah, that was that kind of made me laugh. It it made me laugh during like a much more tense moment than I actually anticipated. So I wasn't laughing at the actual tension, but just rather my kind of brain abbreviating False Face Society into an equally kind of emotionally accurate kind of phrase. So Kevin was handed over to the False Face Society, and his trial to earn his mask, to earn one of his masks, was actually to kill Jacob Kane, to kill the leader of the Crows. That would be definitely be like a hefty task for him to handle. And I think especially what he said too, that he kind of felt that he didn't matter because obviously the Candy Lady built that into him too, but then he was handed off to to now what is now one of the most notorious gangs in Gotham too. Like, he knew it. I think he kind of had the feeling that he would be going into bad grounds too, but then no one actually came to look for him. No one reported him. No one besides his brother really reported him as missing, and he'd been missing for over 2 months too. So it kind of made him feel a certain ways, and I think knowing that kind of left him feeling like he had no other choice, and I think he knew that the False Face Society would likely leave him to die on his own or kill him themselves or something. So he was not a kid with the kind of healthiest or happiest of mental states in that moment. But I liked the talk down that Ryan gave him as Batwoman, and especially as Batwoman too, as Batwoman, as someone who is now known to be the city's new superhero. And Kevin would definitely recognize her as Batwoman. So to actually hear the words like "you matter" and "don't be something you're not," don't let them turn you into something you're not. You matter. You're important. You have like a future ahead of you. Hearing those words coming from a Batwoman, or like a superhero who looks like you as well, like that kind of scene just kind of hit me in the heart too. Just him kind of actually listening to those words and slowly letting the gun down. Actually, coming to understand a better way and everything. Like, that was a really, really well done scene. Like, again, this episode was just really well written. I feel this episode was really well written, and it tackled like a great, like, not often seen kind of subject. You don't often see subjects like this, I feel, or if you do, they're not as well explored as this. I feel like they're usually kind of lightly referenced and maybe brushed aside a little bit. But with this one, and I think especially because they gave this backstory to Ryan as well. Like, Ryan knew what it was like to be in that position all these years ago, and she still held the scars. She still had the scars in her mind of being that kind of a victim. She did not want to let that happen to anyone else. So but she liberated Kevin, and she actually handed him over to Jacob. So Jacob did the right thing and actually got him back to safety. So then Kevin ended up actually thanking Batwoman and Commander Kane too. So, and even Vesper Fairchild on the radio being like, could this be a sign for a future collab, or like a future not a collab, but a future kind of cooperation between Batwoman and the Crows? Like, hopefully so. But I mean, even with Jacob like almost heading straight for the radio, like Ryan spotted that and thought just don't call for backup just yet. It's only going to make him more jittery, and it's only going to escalate the situation. It's going to just give her a chance to actually talk him down from that particular vantage point. So it was handled greatly. She handled herself really well, and likely left a much more positive mark on Kevin's life and on his past as well. Like, he's gonna look back easily and just actually remember this as the day that like a superhero saved him. So and also changing that tide to actually showing him that all kids matter to superheroes, like, not just the ones with families, even the ones who think that who are led to believe that that they're unimportant and whatever other BS. So great episode with a great message. So it was really cool. And in other news, we had Sophie and Alice working together to actually track down Ocean. So we see from the end, we saw like Alice saw a picture of Ocean in that apartment, and we see from like a flashback, Ocean was actually one of the fighters on the island. So he was actually one of the fighters on the island. He was someone that, presumably from an introduction, someone that Alice actually might have known fairly well, and maybe someone who actually trained Alice. He looked like a good enough fighter for Sophia to trust him. But even in that 5-second flashback, he looked like he knew what he was doing, and he was definitely introduced as someone that Sophia wanted Alice to meet, potentially as like an instructor. So fair to say there may be like a bit of history between them. But apparently Ocean is the one that she's hunting down, and apparently she has to kill him. She has to kill Ocean. So I think Ocean wasn't on the island in the last episode, so I'm assuming that he must have left too. Whether or not he stole the Desert Rose is another matter, but he likely left. And I think leaving also is one kind of betrayal that Sophia doesn't like. But then in Alice's case, she went the extra mile of taking the Desert Rose with her and using it outside of the island's perimeters. So Alice is just like a double whammy of a traitor. But whatever Ocean has done, Sophia wants Alice to find him, and she was given a knife by Sophia too, like a very, very specific knife to actually kill him with. So whatever he's done is punishable by death. Now that we've seen that flashback, and now that we know that there's actually some history between Ocean and Alice, now I think that's going to call to attention like whether or not Alice is going to be able to actually kill him that easily if she actually knows who he is. If as soon as she sees his face in a photo, she has that flashback, then that means she knows who he is. So once she actually finds him, what's going to happen from there? So we have to wait and find out about that. But yeah, I think Alice and Sophie working together in this was pretty fun. Alice has all her usual sass, and just her licking her licking a pepper and putting it back in the fridge. It's 2021. We don't really do that now or ever really. It's preferably never. But now with the state of the world's in, that's not really something you want to do. And then her, I think she ate like a leaf from a plant or something. But then the only thing that she found with any kind of carbs or calories was a giant baguette. So them working together was fun, very, very fun, and then Luke coming in out of nowhere, and even Luke kind of just kind of keeping the kind of address information between them, but eventually Alice even picks up on that, and she actually manages to find the same apartment and everything, and then finds Angelique there too. So I think at first glance I thought Angelique could have either been connected to Sophia or to the False Face Society thing, because that whole place was like that was clearly where the whole chemistry thing was running, like the whole creation of Snakebite. So if Ocean was living there, if Ocean was living there, he was actually like making Snakebite. That calls into question: could he have stolen the desert flower, or is he like? Is there are there like untraceable hints of desert rose in the Snakebite serum? Because I think, from what we know, there's shrooms and there's fear toxins. So it's like a mixture of fear and fantasy. It's like a like directly polar opposite ends of the kind of emotional spectrum, pretty much. So it does kind of call into question: is there like maybe the desert rose is like, maybe there are hints of it, and it's enough for it to be untraceable, but it's also enough to actually help to make sure that it actually wears off after a time. Because if you give them one dose and it lasts forever, then for one thing that's bad for business, that it doesn't keep customers coming back, and also it does actually make it a lot more lethal than it already is. So if Ocean is with them and he's actually helping to make some Snakebite, that he could actually be advising them with using some desert rose to make sure it actually wears off, so it doesn't cause any lasting damage, and they still keep going back for more. So okay. So Ocean could be so that would mean that Ocean also did the same thing. He actually stole the desert rose, and that's punishable by death. And Alice, I think Alice might be the one that Sophia favors more, and she's the one that Sophia maybe had more of like a personal hand in training, seeing some potential in her. So she also wants Alice to be the one to kill Ocean and to kill her instructor, maybe. But I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But that was all good and stuff. So Sophie and Alice stuff is always kind of like so far. It's been great to watch. From this season, it's been great to watch. So I can't wait to see where they go with it from here. So all good. And yeah, Mary, who has been living in Kate's apartment, I think that was Kate's apartment that she's been living in, also invited Ryan to live with her, to actually be her roommate. So yeah, I think again, the Ryan and Mary stuff, the Ryan and Mary friendship has been going so damn well from the beginning. It's been going so damn well. Like, I mean, unarguably, like, they both had the same initial interaction as well as having Luke there, so they're the same initial interaction. But I mean, Mary has intentionally been the only one to actually give Ryan any sense of like a chance in actually proving herself to be the new Batwoman, actually giving her like an actual chance to prove herself that she's a valuable asset to the team. So it makes sense that, you know, even in their personal lives, they would actually go further to actually, you know, to develop something even further. So I think so far it looks like they're going to be maintaining things through a friendship, and I think that is just as enjoyable. But yeah, so now she's going to be moving in there. So now she's her employer and her roommate and her caveman. So yeah, a lot of boxes being ticked off there. But honestly, the Ryan and Mary stuff is just going really, really well, and I think it's just great to see how how Mary is treating her as an actual human being, friend. Not to say that Luke's been treating her too badly, but Luke, they've both been kind of processing their different kind of traumas, they've both been processing their traumas differently, as people will. But now I think even Mary's actually considering, like, you know, okay, so like she can't let go of Kate's memory if she refuses to look for her. Like, you know, Kate couldn't let go of Alice, so she kind of of Beth even, so she kept on looking for Beth. So Mary has to actually prove that she's at least willing to actually not give up hope in Kate's disappearance, if she's actually going to have any kind of chance at letting her go, to actually make sure that, you know, that there is no sign that Kate is actually gone. I think her initial kind of suspicions were very, very valid. Like, you know, the intel came from Alice, and which came from Sapphire, so both of those people. Alice, we know that she's not too trustworthy. From like 2.5 seasons of actually being with her so far, or of like a season and like maybe a quarter of being with her so far. So we know for a fact that she's not too trustworthy. But Sapphire herself is also her employer. She's the one who taught Alice how to lie. So, you know, she would like we don't know like exactly how trustworthy she is just yet. But Mary does feel like some sense of obligation to at least try and look for Kate and to try and maintain hope. So, you know, props to Mary. But yeah, I think the Mary and Ryan friendship is just really, really enjoyable to watch so far. So can't wait to see where it goes from here. And then yeah, at the very end, Angelique actually didn't change her number. She was just playing hard to get, as she said, because it's been so long since they've actually been in contact and been together in any shape or form. So yeah, Angelique seems to be back in the picture. They actually did did the classic pinky thumb thing. That's how it goes. So they actually called a truce. So they actually called a truce. So that was cool. So now, now the kind of good news between them being that the woman who abducted them both years ago has finally been arrested and put away, and that Batwoman put her away, like a superhero put her away, and actually saved the lives of countless future kind of foster kids and stuff like that. So now they've called a truce. So now I'm curious as to see how they're going to bring Angelique into the picture. If they're actually going to kind of reignite old sparks and old flames between her and Ryan. So that will be fun to see, and especially I think Mary, kind of, you know, having experience with old kind of lesbian drama, and, you know, I think the only other reference we've had being Victor Zsasz, just him being like, oh yeah, I love lesbian drama and stuff like that. So now I think going forward now, we'll just see how their relationship is actually reignited and see exactly how they move forward, knowing that they're both kind of safer from those grips, and seeing exactly how like what kind of intel Angelique can actually offer in going after Sapphire. Because I don't think she's going to be involved in that, but I think just like knowing that old trauma has actually been filed away and shoved far behind bars wherever. Angelique can actually come out and feel safer now. Because I think with Angelique, there could definitely still be trauma, despite the fact that she actually tried to be kidnapped, knowing that she'd be led straight to Ryan. But she definitely does seem to still have that. Especially since she was actually raiding Ocean's apartment to begin with, she definitely does seem to still have that kind of like rougher, more kind of walkabout kind of background as well. So we'll see exactly what they do. I think it would be interesting to see if they actually did bring back an older film, because they did the same thing for like for Sophie and Kate. Like, you know, Sophie was the old flame, and they spent the entire season kind of, you know, tiptoeing around the kind of pool of whether or not Kate and Sophie would actually end up back together again. But then Julia came along, and Julia swept her up, and stuff happened. So I think it'll be interesting to see if they actually do manage to, you know, to reforge older bonds and see what happens. But yeah, Angelica's back. But yeah, that is pretty much all I've got from this one. Again, a great episode, a really, really well written episode, really well executed episode. Props to everyone involved in this. Really fun continuation of season 2 of Batwoman. Can't wait to see what we get next and how we move forward with the Sapphire stuff and finding Ocean and taking down the False Face Society and, you know, seeing what's happening there. And just seeing more of Ryan as Batwoman and more of Ryan as Ryan, Javisi as Ryan and as Batwoman. Like, I'm actually loving this season so far. Like this season, I think it took me. I think season 1 felt like a little bit of slow burn. Felt like had a little bit of slow burn too. But with this one, it actually feels like, you know, like more and more as they go into it, they actually keep things kind of enticing and keep things dramatic and, you know, kind of keep you hooked on. At least for me personally. So I'm loving that aspect of it so far. So season 2 is looking up to be great. So can't wait to see how. I think this season, I don't think we're gonna have any crossovers this year. I think, you know, not just because of the pandemic last year, but and also being carried on to this year. Like, it's not gone anywhere. It's still around. But I think because of the pandemic and also because Crisis was like the biggest one that they'd done just yet, like they kind of held off on doing anything massive for a while. So I don't know if we're gonna see Ryan being a part of any crossovers in the future, and especially because almost everything's going away. Like we lost Arrow straight after the crossover, and then we're losing Supergirl. Like Supergirl's getting its final season, and, you know, there's like a few left. Like Black Lightning is ending too. Like, you know, so much is ending, and other stuff is kind of up in the air, being renewed and everything. But I don't know. I mean, I would love to see Ryan being in a crossover. But whether or not that happens, we have to wait and see. Or at least with like the remaining shows, they could maybe do something. I don't know. But either way, season 2, like crossover or not, season 2 is shaping up to be great. Shaping up to be a great story for Ryan, and really, really molding her into the new official Batwoman. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what they've got in store next. But that is all I've got. So that was Batwoman season 2, episode 4. So thank you guys, as always, so much for being here and for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then salt and burn that like button. Comment on what you thought of the episode and what you think is coming up next time on Batwoman. Once again, the full-length reaction for this episode will be over on Patreon, so you can go check that over there. And yeah, that is it. So I will see you guys next time.